Admiral Zexathara stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Void Render, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger through the reinforced viewport. His four eyes gleamed with anticipation as he reviewed the tactical displays. The Hegemony's Third Fleet, 200 vessels strong, represented the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. Energy shields that could withstand stellar bombardment, plasma cannons that could crack moons, and faster-than-light drives that made them masters of space warfare. Admiral, his tactical officer Mordak, approached with the characteristic clicking gait of his species. "We've intercepted human communications. They're requesting negotiations." Zexathara's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Negotiations? After they destroyed our colony on Kepler 442b?" He turned to face his bridge crew, his scarred carapace gleaming under the artificial lights. "These mammals have no concept of hegemony justice. They think their primitive chemical rockets and nuclear weapons can threaten us." The crew chittered in agreement. The humans had been lucky once, catching a lightly defended mining world off guard with their crude kinetic bombardment. But this was different. This was the full might of the hegemony, descending upon their homeworld. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're asking us to withdraw to discuss terms." Zexathara's laugh was like grinding metal. "Terms? Show me their pathetic fleet." The main display flickered to life, revealing the human defensive formation. Zexathara's amusement deepened as he studied their vessels, crude metal constructs that looked more like flying scrapyards than warships. No energy shields, no plasma weaponry, no artificial gravity systems. They were using chemical thrusters and what appeared to be projectile weapons. "By the Void," Mordak whispered. "Their largest ship is barely the size of our escort frigates." "Primitive doesn't even begin to describe this," Zexathara mused. "Look at their formations. They're spreading out in a flat plane like they're fighting in 2 dimensions. They have no conception of 3-dimensional warfare." He gestured at his own fleet's sophisticated spherical formation, ships positioned at optimal intervals to provide overlapping fields of fire and mutual shield support. The human admiral's voice crackled through the communications array, speaking in their crude lingua franca. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered our system with hostile intent. We ask you to reconsider." Zexathara cut the transmission with a dismissive gesture. "Pathetic. They're trying to buy time." He turned to his tactical officer. "Begin the assault. Target their command vessel first. Let's end this farce quickly." The Void Render's plasma batteries began to glow, joined by the weapons of the entire Third Fleet. 200 ships prepared to unleash devastation upon the 80 human vessels that dared to oppose them. "Firing solution locked," Mordak announced. "Fire," Zexathara commanded. Brilliant lances of superheated plasma streaked across space toward the human formation. Zexathara watched with satisfaction as the energy beams closed the distance, then frowned as they seemed to bend. "What?" he began. The plasma beams curved away from the human ships, dissipating harmlessly into space. Every shot from every ship in his fleet missed completely. "Impossible," Mordak stammered. "Our targeting systems are perfect." "They should have—" Alarms began blaring across the bridge. Zexathara spun toward his sensor operator. "Report!" "Sir, I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions throughout the engagement zone. The readings they're impossible. It's as if space itself is being twisted." Zexathara's eyes widened in understanding. The humans hadn't been positioning their ships randomly. They'd been creating a carefully orchestrated gravitational web, using their primitive but massive vessels as anchor points. They were bending space-time itself to deflect attacks. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They don't have the technology." "Admiral," the communications officer called out. "The humans are broadcasting again." Admiral Chen's voice filled the bridge, calm and measured. "We tried to warn you. You see, we've learned something in our brief time among the stars. Sometimes the most advanced technology isn't the most effective. Sometimes primitive tactics work precisely because they're too primitive to be predicted." On the tactical display, Zexathara watched in horror as the human ships began moving in perfect coordination, their crude positioning revealing itself as an intricate 3-dimensional pattern. They weren't fighting in 2 dimensions, they were fighting in 4, manipulating space and time itself. "Sir," Mordak's voice cracked, "our shields are failing. The gravitational distortions are tearing them apart from within. Zexthara looked at his magnificent fleet and saw death approaching. His advanced energy shields, designed to repel external attacks, were collapsing as the humans' gravitational manipulation worked from inside the protective barriers. The carefully planned formation that had taken centuries of tactical development was being turned against itself as the warped space pulled his ships into collision courses. "Impossible," he whispered. "They're using gravity itself as a weapon. But they don't have the technology for artificial gravity manipulation." "No," Admiral Chen's voice interrupted his thoughts. "We don't. We just have something you apparently forgot in all your technological advancement. We have Newton's laws, Einstein's theories, and the stubborn refusal to let anyone tell us what's impossible." The first hegemony vessel exploded as its shields collapsed entirely, consumed by its own plasma battery's feedback. Then another, then 10. The carefully orchestrated gravitational dance the humans had created was tearing the Third Fleet apart from within. Zexthara's flagship shuddered as its own shields began to fail. Through the viewport, he watched his invincible armada burn in the silence of space, defeated not by superior technology, but by minds that refused to accept the limitations of their tools. As the Voidrender began to break apart, Zexthara's last thought was a grudging admission. Perhaps primitiveness wasn't about the tools you used, it was about the imagination you brought to using them. The Third Fleet died in silence, and with it died the hegemony's certainty that advanced meant superior. In the depths of space, humanity had just taught the galaxy its first lesson. Never underestimate a species desperate enough to weaponize physics itself.